Hello, my name is Leslie and I'm from the Art Center here in Athens, Tennessee. So one of our favorite things to do during the holidays is participate with the downtown Christmas celebration and do kids crafts for the community. And since we can't do that in person this year, we decided to send art bags home with crafts that you can do from home, and decided to make these instructional videos to kind of show you how to do it from home. So thank you to the Mayfield Family Foundation for the funds and resources to help us be able to do this for you all despite challenging times. So I'm going to be teaching you all today how to make a woven Christmas snowflake ornament. And we're going to do it using macrame materials. So this is macrame yarn, and it is a braided, tougher material. So it's nice and strong, and we're going to make an ornament out of it. So we're going to start by making a loop that looks kind of like this. And we're going to use the bottom part, the smaller part, to make our snowflake built off of, and then the top part to hang it by on the tree or mantle or whatever you want to hang it on. So to make this, we're going to go ahead. I wanted to have one of those prepared for you. But we're going to take the shortest piece of string included in your art bag. It'll probably be a little bit shorter than this, a little bit shorter than 1 foot. You've got 3 different lengths of string in your bag. So you've got one piece that's 2 feet long. It's the longest one. And then you've got 10 pieces of 1 foot long string. Then you've got a piece that's a little bit less than a foot, and that's the one that you're going to want to grab to make this loop. So we're going to start by making a loop, and this is super simple. You're just going to make a knot into a little loop. Make a little circle out of it. There's nothing super specific about this stage. Just make sure not to trim it too short whenever you're trimming it so that it stays in its little loop. Make sure to tighten it really nice and good. And there's the loop, loop 1. So this is actually made up of 2 loops, if you notice. There's lots of loops in this process. So there's a smaller loop that we're going to build the snowflake off of. And then for the bigger loop, I'm just going to go ahead and keep this from unraveling. And to tie a little knot. So this one's a little bit smaller. They all look different sizes, but this one is going to be the one that I'm going to build the snowflake off of. And the smaller of your 2 loops is what you're going to want to do there. And I really just tied 2 knots to make it into a circle. You can, this one was a little bit longer obviously, but this is the one that we're going to work with. Then you're going to take one of your 1 foot long pieces of string and fold it in half. And then once you get it in half, you're going to set the loop on top of it, the loop from your hanger on top of it, and pick up the loop side and take the 2 tails and pull them through the loop, making one of these really simple knots. I think it's called a slip knot. So see, you've got the tails coming out, and then the other part is wrapped around the loop. Okay, and then you're going to want to take your 1 foot pieces of macrame, yarn, string, cord, whatever, and we're going to repeat that step all the way around the circle. Put the loop under, pull the tails through, and then pull it tight. And then you're going to want to put them all next to each other. Next one, fold it in half, put the loop under, pull the tails through, and pull it tight. And you can still adjust all of these at this stage. It's not super crazy. Fold it in half, tails through the loop, pull it tight. Now we have 4 of the 10. And some circles might be too small and you don't have room for all 10 1 foot pieces of macrame. That is fine. Just fit however many you can on the loop. And you can always undo the knots in this string and start over if you get confused. When I was first learning this, I had to do that several times because I got really tangled up. loop under, pull the tails through. Loop, loop under. So now we have all of our little knots going all the way around and all of our tails coming out. And so now we're going to take the big 2 foot long piece of string. And there's another pretty way to do this. I'm just going to turn it. Find a nice starting point. I'm going to start right here. And you're going to take your string and you're going to lay it. I'm also going to gather all of the strings off to the side. You're going to lay it here, over the strings, right in there. You can see it, it's a little loop. You're going to leave some string off to the side. It's very important. And then you're going to pick up the first of the 2 tails and loop it over and under. And pull it up nice and tight. And this isn't actually a knot, but we will get there. And then you're going to take the same tail that you were just holding, wrap it under the 2 foot long piece of string to the right of your original knot, then over and through the loop that we just made with that. And the first one is always more finicky than the others. But after the first one, you're golden. It's much easier after that point. All right, so there's that. Then you're going to take this next tail and you're going to do the exact same thing. And you're wanting to make sure that all of the little pieces of it kind of turn upwards. So under, through the loop, and then through. And it kind of makes knots that look similar to the original knots that we were doing around the circle. So next section of tails, under the 2 foot, the long piece of string, over to make 1 knot, and then under, through the loop. And this is the point where you want to adjust things. Like, I'm not exactly happy with how far away that is, so I'm going to go in and bring it a little bit tighter if I can. Because after you've done several knots, it is a little bit trickier to work with previous knots tied. Okay, so under, through, first part of the knot, under, through the loop, second part of the knot, done. Okay, then under, through the loop, pull, under, through the loop, tighten, perfect, under, through the loop, pull, under, through the loop, tighten. We're just doing that all the way around. And you see, now I've made several of these in the past, so I'm kind of used to it by now, but you'll notice that it gets dramatically easier with time. And you'll get faster and faster and faster until you're done, and then all of a sudden you're done. And then you can make another one. You can go buy macrame yarn online or get it picked up from a craft store or something like that. Make your own macrame things. Then, okay, so now we've done all of the strands, and you see, I'm going to tuck the hanger underneath here so that you don't see it. But do you see this nice little circle that's formed, and how we have the leftover piece? So this is still part of the 2 foot long piece of string we have here. So what you're going to do with this is to join the 2. You're going to tie a knot, pull it nice and tight, and tie another knot, nice and tight, and you can leave that string hanging out. Kind of looks like an octopus at this point. It's pretty funny. And then I'm going to take this string, and I'm going to take the end of it and tie it through here to just kind of join it up there. And we're going to tie it off. And I'm going to tie it kind of around the original loop that we're going to hang it from. So tie that in a little knot. And if you are insecure about your knots possibly coming undone, that is A-okay, and my hack for it is if you have some super glue or hot glue laying around, you can reinforce your knots with just a dot of that. So now we have this ornament that looks kind of like, when I was first learning how to do these, my sister said it looked like an octopus. So you have your octopus, and we're just going to trim this front piece. Then we're going to go around here and trim all of our tails to the same length. And you can adjust this based on how long you want the fuzzies on your ornament. So, and they don't have to be perfect, because we're going to undo these braids, and then that fixes a lot. All right. Okay. Then you've got all of these scraps. We're going to put them over the side. You're going to go through and unwind the little braids. And go all the way around. And if you are unhappy, if you realize like, oh, I cut these uneven, and that's for sure. It's perfectly fine. I understand. Quite the perfectionist myself, so I would like to go through afterwards and trim up further. But in the meantime, go through and undo all of them first, because whenever I'm undoing them in the moment, it might seem like there's it's a lot more uneven than I thought, but in reality it's see this, I cut this one a little bit shorter than the other since I'm probably going to trim them. I normally like to trim it to the shortest one. And you could always undo all of these first and then trim all of them, except given how much longer, the longer they are, the longer it takes to unbraid them. So I normally like to cut them first, kind of like whenever you get your hair cut. If you're going to get it cut and dyed, they normally cut it at least a rough bit. Like if you say I'm going to get 5 inches cut off my hair and I want to dye it purple, then what they do first is they normally cut about 4 inches off, and then they dye it to save that dye and save that time that it would take to dye that hair that you know that you're going to cut off anyways. It's kind of the same process here. So we're going to cut off some of that length, and then we'll go back and trim it up later as well to get exactly the right picture of what we want, so that we get the purple hair that we want. That's a good clap.
That was a good clap.
Should be professional. Okay, so now that we have unfolded all of our little braids here, what we're going to do is take our scissors, not included in your bag, and go ahead and cut around to the same length. And again, though, it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't stress if it isn't. This is not worth stressing over, I can assure you that. Everything is at the length that we want it. And then look at your little snowflake ornament. Oh my goodness, that's so cute. And you can make a bunch of them and hang them on your tree. You can dye them, you can color them with markers, you can do whatever you want. But that is our ornament. I have made a mess. But there is our ornament. So thank you all so much, and I hope that you have a very happy holidays and a great new year.